Alright, let's take a step back and explain the Epstein case properly because without context, nothing makes sense here. You're watching TimesXP. My name is Rityatri, and this story did not begin with leaked photos. It began decades ago, quietly in the shadows. Jeffrey Epstein, he was not a celebrity, he was not a politician, he was a financier who somehow moved among presidents, princes, in fact, professors, billionaires, everybody was there. No clear public record of how he had made his money. No transparent hedge fund history here. Yet, private jets, private island, private access to the power. That alone should have raised the alarms here, right? But it didn't. What was Epstein actually accused of? At the core of this case, there was trafficking, there was abuse, allegations involving underage girls. Teenage girls, some as young as 14, they were allegedly recruited, groomed, and abused at Epstein's property in New York, Florida, New Mexico, and the US Virgin Islands. Well, the allegations, they were not rumors. They came from multiple survivors over many years. Then came the first shock, 2008. Epstein was charged in Florida, but instead of a long prison sentence, he received a secret plea deal. 13 months in jail, work release, 6 days a week outside prison. Well, the deal was so unusual that years later, a US federal judge, he would say it violated victims' right. That moment, it planted the first seed of suspicion. Who protected Epstein and why? Fast forward to 2019. Epstein is arrested again, this time by federal prosecutors in New York. The charges, they are far more serious. Trafficking and conspiracy. For the very first time, many believed that the system might finally go all the way up. Names were expected, networks exposed, accountability delivered. Then, Epstein dies. Found dead in his jail cell. It was said that he took his own life, but the circumstances, broken cameras, asleep guards, a man on watch, he was left alone. Now, to millions of Americans, this did not feel like closure. It felt like ending that protected everybody except for the victims. Then enters Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein's closest associate, accused of recruiting, grooming, and enabling abuse. She was convicted back in 2021 and sentenced to 20 years in prison. In fact, her trial confirmed something very important, that Epstein he did not operate alone. But even then, many names were sealed. Many documents stayed hidden. That brings us to the files here, the so-called Epstein files. They are court records, contact booked, flight logs, and exhibit tied to civil cases. Basically, specifically here we're talking about one brought by Epstein's survival, Virginia. These documents do not automatically mean guilty though. A name appearing, it does not mean that it is equal to a crime, but they do show proximity, right? Access, in fact, connection, and that's why they matter the most. The question is, why do powerful names, they keep on appearing? Because Epstein's operation, they thrived on influence. Politicians, business leaders, academics, royal figures. His private jet, often called the Lolita Express, it carried dozens of high-profile passengers over the year. Again, being on a plane, it is not proof of the abuse here, but it raises a legitimate question. Why was a convicted offender, he was surrounded by world's elite people after his crimes, they were known? So, what is different now? Well, public patience is gone. People are no longer asking, was Epstein guilty? Yeah, that answer is already clear now. They are asking that who else knew, who looked away, who was protected, and why even today are documents released slowly, piece by piece, instead of fully, transparently, and at once. And this is why every new release, it causes outrage, not because it proves something really new, but because it reminds the world that justice stopped halfway. Victims spoke, evidence existed, yet the most powerful questions, they remain unanswered. The Epstein case is no longer just a criminal case. It is a symbol of how money bends the system and how powerful delays justice, or how truth can be buried without ever being disproven. And until every single file is opened, every name examined equally, and every survival heard, this story will not end. Not in courts, not in politics, not in public memory, because Epstein wasn't just the scandal. The silence around him, it was. Be it Trump, be it Michael Jackson, be it Hillary Clinton,